As you could tell in that last clip, I ended up taking the replacement shift joint off again. So even though Subaru said that it was compatible with a STI VIN, it was not. Somewhere along the lines in 2005 and up, they changed the width of this receiver here. So the narrower receiver, you could use the 5-speed joint, it appears. Not 100% sure on that. But this one here, it must be a later model 2005 because it's still the 3.9 front diff and the 1-to-1 transfer ratio. So it is a 2005 for sure STI transmission. But because of that, we had to return that part, and it doesn't appear that Subaru sells this replacement joint here separately. So what we had to do is order in a solid Jimmy here from Torque Solutions. I didn't want to use this only because I still wanted a little bit of free play. I still wanted a little bit of smoothness. That being said, I looked into the directions and it looks like this is some sort of grease or silicone, and it's pretty clear. It doesn't look like it would be Loctite, seeing as how these are nylon captive nuts that they include. The nuts here do get torqued to 11 foot-pounds, so once we get that, once we get to that part, we'll break the torque wrench out. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the joint looks like you can go on one of two ways. So I'll have to figure out how that goes before I actually go through the process of putting this back on. Now, this receiver can go on either way. Doesn't matter. So you could even spin it when it's on. But if you notice, this section right here is offset to one side. I believe it's probably going to be offset so that it doesn't interfere with this rear, drive shaft guard. But we'll look into it. I'll mess with it, and then once we're all done, I'll show you what I mean and which is the correct way to install it, or at least the one that doesn't interfere. I'll try them both, see what happens, just so that we know. Just to recap a little bit, you already saw me install the bushing back here. Also, this bushing is from White Line, so that's nice and sturdy and a little stiff moving up and down, but I don't believe this ends up actually moving anymore since this rear end gets tied up. So that's all set. So yeah, let's get cracking. Next thing's next. It's this piece here. However, I think I twirled this up a little. Figure out how that goes again. Looks like it does go right above, just like that. And there's a O-ring in here. 11.17 foot-pounds. Let's see how she shifts. Oh yeah, shifts good. Oh, and it's solid. There's like a little bit of slop, but I think it's just in the cup. Yeah, in the cup, and then the bushing's up here, but that's fine. That's an appropriate amount of slop. So this is our Exetti clutch. Oh yeah, forgot about you, guy. We have to figure that out maybe before we put the transmission in. See if we get double nut method that bad boy off. Anyway, this is what I've come for. Come on. think I need a flathead for this. Well, let me try messing with it. Alright, so we're under the car and we've skipped ahead. Just because of how difficult it was to install. It was actually a 3-person job. It was me, Jose, and my wife, and it was a pain. So between that, all the cursing and swearing, and the little bit of hurt fingers, we just decided it'd be best to not record. So that's where we're at. I was about to put the drive shaft in, but as you can tell, we need to install that shifter bushing stay or whatever it is, and then after that we'll be able to do the drive shaft. I did clean the drive shaft up a little bit. You probably don't remember, but the input, or I guess this metal section here, was pretty rusty, so I ended up sanding it, and after that lubricated it with a little bit of silicone grease just so that it would potentially slide in easier and not damage that seal. I'm hoping that it doesn't go in too far, because I wasn't able to get super well into this area back here. My fingers just don't fit. I tried a different method where I wrapped sandpaper around a pen, jammed it in there, sanded it all up. But that's the update for this. I'll get started on installing that. I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to record, but we'll go from there. Cool. That's in there. That'll be tight enough for the test drive. Between that, the downpipe, the other rust in the car, you know, this car isn't perfect. This is gonna match it perfectly. It's gonna match the rest of the car. Also wanted to show a little bit of behind the scenes, some of the carnage. I welded a few nuts. These are just a few of the tries again, but they all failed. And what was happening is, as they were trying to untighten the bolt, it would just snap off more and more of the bolt. And you can see right here what I ended up doing is I ended up cutting the side of the turbo, cutting the bolt, and then collapsing it on itself. There's a stuck drill bit in there, so that's what kind of led us to that point. But honestly, looking back at it now, I think next time that's what I'm going to try to do. Just try to not hit the other side, not try to damage up the threads too much, and then run a thread chase through it instead of trying to extract that stud. But you live and you learn. Kristen's going to be heading out to get some groceries. I don't think she can see me. Hi! Anyway, Kristen's going to be heading out to get some groceries, and I've been working on the STI swap. I got this end done. I got the tie rods, the axle through. I had to clean up the hubs a little bit. I got the splash shield on the hubs. Got the calipers kind of mounted on there. We're going to have to be doing some swapping around because I don't want to get new rotors for this car. I have some off of on the STI, so I'm planning on putting that car on jack stands, taking the parts off of that, putting it on this, and eventually moving some stuff around, rolling some stuff around. Maybe I should buy new rotors, but there goes Kristen. But anyway, I just wanted to check in, show you what's good, what's up. So what we're going to do now is do the other side. Now, I started working on this side before really recording, so this side doesn't give as good of an angle as to what I'm doing, but you should be able to see more or less what's going on. It's really not that complicated or interesting. So I got the axle sanded up, got a lot of the corrosion off. This end I'm not too worried about. I'll probably clean it up a little. This side I really polished. Started with 180, 360, 400, 600, 800, all the way up to 2500, just to get some of the roughness out. There's still pitting in here, but it should be smooth enough that it shouldn't damage up that seal on this end. And then here I think it rides on a bearing and a fluid. Bearing, or I guess it goes this fluid and then a bearing race, and that's how that floats. But it's all cleaned up. Again, there's some pitting, there's some discoloration, but it's pretty smooth. I got some oil on it right now just to keep it from flash rusting, but first step is going to be to clean this puppy off. Put a little bit of diff fluid on it. Maybe a lot of bit of diff fluid. So I didn't record it, so you'll just have to take my word for it, but I got the axle in. Another thing, I was able to get the drain bolt out. It was stuck. I ended up rounding. I ended up welding a nut on it. Got it a little hot so it melted up a little bit, but I was able to beat a 14mm socket onto it, and then was able to spin it off and drain off the rest of the fluid that was in there. It was probably about a half quart to 3/4 of a quart left in there. But got a new one ordered up, Subaru OEM one with a replacement gasket. I emptied out the differential fluid, but I just reused that copper crush washer. With how big it was and how not super scored it looked, I'm pretty sure it's going to be fine. If it does leak, then I'll deal with it then. It's just some fluid. It's like $36 fluid that I bought. It's not terribly expensive. But yeah, we'll keep going. So we have the hub here, and there's a little bit of prep work. As you can see, it doesn't have the shield on, so we'll have to attach that. The speed sensor, they just cut, they left it in, so we'll have to deck that off, knock it back and forth till it comes out. Another thing is on the ball joint, you can kind of see it there. They left the cotter pin in when they zapped the castle nut off, so we got to punch that through, sand this up, clean it up a little bit. And then in addition to that, another thing I've got to do is I've got to clean up the splines within this hub. On the other side, I was dealing with the issue where the axle didn't want to go in, so I had to take it out, clean it up a little bit, put it back in, go back and forth until it slid in nicely. I had the foresight now to actually file the splines on the axle side, so I'm hoping that I don't have to do too much to clean this up and it all goes in smoother than the other side. But I'll set you guys up and have you watch. There you go. Alright, speed sensor's out. So I've got the axle in. I've got the hub prepped. What I'm going to do now is anti-seize the axle, slide it through, get it all situated, slide the ball joint into the control arm, take this pin out, hopefully get this nut off of the tie rod, and then install the wheel speed sensor. I'll clean it up and maybe put some silicone grease on it just so it doesn't get stuck in the future. And that's it. Let's get started. looks like the microphone on my battery's dying, but anyway, we got the differential plugs loosened up. Got some of this Valvoline advanced gear oil. It says it has got limited slip. It doesn't specifically say for limited slip top off. Then we've got this, the same viscosity, GL5 Walmart random crap. But I'm gonna fill it up with this, and then if I need to top it off some more, I'll put that in there.
All right, it's the first start in the 6-speed WRX.
I don't have an official outro for this video, but as you can see, everything is spinning like it should. I did end up stealing the rear brakes, and then also all of the pads and the rotors and the wheels off of the STI. That car now is on jack stands. It being a long-term project, it's okay sitting like that for a while. I'm not too bent out of shape about it, but the rest I don't really need to show. It's really simple stuff, and I'm sure you've seen driving videos of WRXs and STIs. So the next video after this is going to be some engine teardown. A little more information about what the plan is for the STI, but look forward to that.